Okay, I want you to picture something for a second. Imagine you're in a band.
Mm-hmm.
And not just, a garage band, but a band that has been through the absolute ringer. You've toured for 15 years. You've had the massive radio hits.
The ones you hear in every grocery store.
Exactly. And you've played every stage from, like, Red Rocks to the dive bar down the street.
It's the classic rock and roll journey.
It is. But here's the catch. For years, literally years, you've had this one specific title in your back pocket. It's like an inside joke that you were just dying to slap on an album cover.
Right.
You want to call it Those Bastards. It's punchy, it's got attitude, it's a little bit aggressive.
And the label probably hates it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, the timing's wrong. It just sits there gathering dust until 2005.
And even then, when they finally decided to pull the trigger, they didn't go with the English version. They gave it a little linguistic twist.
They finally let it manifest, but they went with Bastardos. And that is the subject of today's deep dive. We are peeling back the layers on the 2005 studio album by the American jam band icons, Blues Traveler.
It is a really fascinating snapshot in time for this band. If you look at the specs, we're talking about an album released on September 13th, 2005.
Okay.
It was recorded deep in the heart of Texas, Austin, to be specific, and released on the Vanguard label.
And I think for a lot of people, when they hear Blues Traveler, their brain instantly just like time travels to the mid-90s.
The harmonica vests, the solos.
Right around, that whole era defined them for, the massive mainstream audience.
Right. But Bastardos is a different beast entirely. This is their 8th studio album. They aren't the new kids on the block anymore. They aren't trying to break onto MTV.
So here is our mission for this deep dive. We aren't just reviewing an album from '05. We are exploring what happens when a veteran outfit, known for that loose, improvisational jamming, decides to tighten the screws. We're going to look at what happens when you take that established jam band formula and mix it with a very specific and honestly kind of surprising production choice.
It really is one of the more intriguing pairings in mid-2000s rock history. It's a collision of styles that, on paper, maybe shouldn't work.
Okay, let's unpack this immediately because this is the detail that just jumped out at me the second I opened up the liner notes. You look at the produced by credit, and it's not a name you'd typically associate with the jam band scene or, the HRDE festival crowd.
No, not at all. The album was produced by Jay Bennett.
And for those listening who might not be obsessively checking the credits on every indie rock album from the early 2000s, who is Jay Bennett? Why is that name so significant?
Well, Jay Bennett is a heavyweight, but in a totally different weight class. He is most famous for being formerly of the band Wilco.
Ah, Wilco.
Now, if you know Wilco, you know they occupy this space of alt-country, indie rock, very critical darling territory. Think Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. It's deconstructed, it's sonic experimentation, it's meticulous studio craft.
It's very much headphones music.
Exactly. And that is a very different energy from the loose, improvisational, let the tape roll and see what happens vibe that people traditionally associate with Blues Traveler.
It feels like a collision of two different musical philosophies. You've got the mainstream jam kings meeting the indie rock architect.
Yeah.
It's like mixing oil and water and trying to make a salad dressing.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And Bennett didn't just sit behind the glass and say, do another take. If you look at the personnel, he's actually in the mix.
Oh, really?
He contributed guitar and percussion to the tracks. So this pairing really sets the tone for the whole project. It suggests a band that is looking to tighten things up, maybe get a little more experimental with the studio as an instrument.
Instead of just capturing a live jam.
Exactly.
So let's place this in the timeline for the listener, just to give them some grounding. Where does Bastardos sit in the grand Blues Traveler history?
It's right in the thick of their middle era. It follows their 2003 album, Truth Be Told, and comes before the 2007 release, Cover Yourself.
Okay, so they are deep into their career here.
Deep. This isn't a comeback attempt, and it's not a debut. It's that tricky middle period where a band has to prove they still have something to say.
Right.
They've survived the 90s boom, they've survived the post-90s hangover, and now they're just being a band.
And it seems like the critics were still paying attention. We're looking at professional ratings from some major outlets.
Yeah, Rolling Stone reviewed it, AllMusic reviewed it. So even though they were on Vanguard, which is an independent label, they hadn't totally fallen off the map.
That's a key point. They were maintaining relevance.
Absolutely. Being reviewed by Rolling Stone in 2005 for a band that peaked commercially in, 1994, that shows that people were still curious.
There was still a question of, can they reinvent themselves, or what do they sound like now? Speaking of what they sound like, let's get into the music itself, because the structure of this album is, well, it's interesting. If you go to a Blues Traveler show, you expect, like, 10-minute jams.
Oh, yeah, solos for days.
Right.
But you might not get that here. Bennett's influence seems to lean toward structure. Let's look at the lead single, Amber Awaits.
Huh.
It dropped in August 2005, just before the album.
And that song is a total collaboration. You've got Chan Kinchla, Tad Kinchla, and John Popper all on the writing credits.
Which becomes a theme on this record. It's very collaborative. But look at the opening track. It's called You Can't Stop Thinking About Me.
I love the confidence of that title. It's like, we know you haven't forgotten us. It's almost a little confrontational, but in a fun way.
It is bold.
Mm-hmm.
That one was penned by Chan Kinchla and Popper. But if we connect this to the bigger picture of the album's pacing, I mean, look at the runtimes. This is where the Wilco factor might be showing up.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at the track list now. Nail, 3 minutes and 6 seconds. Rubberneck, 3 minutes and 11 seconds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These are radio-friendly lengths. They are tight, they get in, make their point, and get out.
Even She Isn't Mine is only 3.18. They aren't meandering at all.
It feels like Bennett came in and said, okay, guys, trim the fat. We don't need 3 minutes of noodling before the chorus.
It creates a sense of urgency.
It does. But, and this is crucial, they didn't totally abandon their roots. Because you get to the very end of the album, track 14.
The Children of the Night.
And that one clocks in at 6 minutes and 31 seconds.
Okay, so they saved the dessert for last.
Right. They saved the jam for the closer. It's almost like a reward for the listener.
Here's the tight produced song structure you need for the album, but we're going to leave you with a bit of that expansion you love.
It's a smart balance. It shows they understand the medium of the album format.
I also want to point out the shortest track on the album, because the title just makes me laugh every time I read it. What could possibly go wrong?
Written by Chan Kinchla and Popper.
And it's only 2 minutes and 47 seconds long.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a joke there. What could possibly go wrong? Well, apparently not much, because they finished the song in under 3 minutes.
It creates a lot of energy. Short songs keep the momentum moving. It prevents the album from feeling like a slog, which, let's be honest, can happen with some jam band studio albums if they aren't careful.
Keeps the listener on their toes. It's punchy. We should probably mention a few others just to give the listener a sense of the variety here.
Sure.
You've got Money Back Guarantee, which is a collaboration between Popper and Ben Wilson.
And Nefertiti, which is Tad Kinchla and Popper.
Yeah.
The writing credits really are spread around. It's not just the John Popper show.
No.
Everyone is contributing to the architecture of these songs.
Well, let's talk about the people making those sounds, because we keep saying the band, but in 2005, the lineup is specific. We need to set the stage for who is actually in the room in Austin.
Right. So at the core, you have the recognizable faces. John Popper, obviously, on harmonica and vocals.
Can't have Blues Traveler without that sound.
You cannot. It's one of the most distinctive voices, both human and instrumental in rock history.
It's like Santana's guitar. You hear one note, you know who it is.
Exactly. Then you've got Chan Kinchla holding down the guitars, electric, acoustic, and he's even credited with mandolin on this record.
Which adds a nice little texture there.
Brendan Hills on percussion and drums. And then rounding out the rhythm section, you have Tad Kinchla on bass.
And we can't forget Ben Wilson on the keyboards.
Correct. But what's fascinating here, and this goes back to the whole Austin setting, is that the liner notes reveal a much richer soundscape than just those 5 guys.
Oh, yeah.
This was not a stripped-back, let's record in a garage affair.
Yeah.
They brought in reinforcements.
Yeah, I saw that. There's a whole horn section listed.
A full horn section. You have Carlos Sosa on saxophone, Fernando Castillo on trumpet, and Raul Vallejo on trombone.
That feels very Texas, doesn't it? It feels like a big, soulful review.
It does. It adds this layer of soul and funk that complements the rock elements. It thickens the
I
sound.
think there were backing vocals too, right?
Yeah, Teresa Cole is credited with backing vocals. So when you listen to Bastardos, you aren't hearing a sparse record. You're hearing a big, full, layered production.
And Bennett himself is on there playing.
Right, he's adding percussion, guitar, so he's adding texture on top of all that.
So you have the horns, you have the backing vocals, you have the Wilco producer layering in guitars. It sounds like they were really trying to fill the room.
I think they were trying to create a sonic environment that justified listening to the album, you know, as something distinct from the live show. And that's a hard thing for jam bands to do.
So we've got this big sound, we've got a fancy producer, we've got this confident title. How did it actually do? Did the world embrace Bastardos?
Well, this raises an important question about how we measure success for a band in their second decade.
Sure.
Commercially, it peaked at number 49 on the U.S. Independent Albums Billboard chart.
Number 49 on the independent chart. Okay. Let's be real for a second. That is not exactly setting the world on fire.
No, and it's a far cry from the multi-platinum days of 4 in 1994 when they were dominating MTV. But context is everything here.
Right.
The fact that they are charting on the independent albums chart signifies a shift in their position in the industry.
Because they were on Vanguard Records now.
Exactly. They moved from the major label machine to Vanguard. They're operating as a legacy act that sustains itself through touring and a dedicated fan base, rather than chasing top 40 radio play.
It's a different business model, essentially.
It is. They aren't trying to be the biggest band in the world anymore. They're trying to be the best version of Blues Traveler for the people who already care.
And hitting the charts at all 8 albums in is a respectable showing for an independent release.
I'd say so.
Now, you mentioned they are a touring machine, and we really can't talk about Blues Traveler without talking about the live experience. And interestingly, Bastardos has a direct extension into their live catalog.
It does. Almost a year later, on August 29, 2006, they released an EP called Bastardos en Vivo.
Which, if my high school Spanish serves me correctly, translates to Bastards Live.
You got it. They really committed to the branding.
They did.
It's a collection of live recordings of songs from the Bastardos album. But there is one track on there that is, well, it's just perfect for them. It's one of those things where you see the title and you just nod your head.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The cover song.
The Devil Went Down to Georgia.
The Charlie Daniels Band classic.
Of course.
It's the ultimate showcase for a band that features a virtuoso harmonica player.
It's so logical, it's almost funny. You just replace the fiddle duel with a harmonica duel.
Essentially, yes. It fits their southern rock, high-energy aesthetic perfectly. And including it on the live EP accompanying this album kind of ties that whole Austin, Texas southern vibe together with their jam band identity.
It's a fun little Easter egg for the fans who bought into the Bastardos era.
I love that. It's like, here's our serious studio album with the Wilco producer where we carefully crafted 3-minute pop songs. And here's us tearing the roof off with a Charlie Daniels cover.
It shows they didn't lose their sense of fun.
And that's a crucial part of their longevity, right? You have to take the music seriously, but you can't take yourself too seriously.
It's a balance.
So, as we start to wrap this up, what does this all mean? We've got an album with a funny name, a serious producer, tight songs, and a horn section.
I think Bastardos stands as a really pivotal middle chapter. If you look at the discography provided in our sources, this band has been going since their self-titled debut in 1990 all the way up to Hurry Up and Hang Around in 2018.
That is a massive span of time.
It is. Nearly 3 decades. A lifetime in the music industry.
Yeah.
And Bastardos sits right there in the middle of the 2000s. It shows a band that was willing to experiment. They didn't just keep making the same album over and over. They brought in Jay Bennett. They played with song structures. They added horns. It proves that they were still artistically curious.
And they finally got to use the name they wanted.
That too. It's a moment of creative satisfaction, I'm sure. It's like scratching an itch they'd had for 10 years.
It's a cool snapshot. It's not the album everyone knows. It's not the one with Hook on it. But it sounds like an album that fans really appreciate for that diversity. It's a little bit of a hidden gem.
Absolutely. It adds texture to their legacy. It proves they weren't just a one-trick pony from the 90s.
Here is a final thought for you to chew on, listener. We talked about how they waited years to use the name Those Bastards, or Bastardos. Names have power, right? They set an expectation. If they had named their 1994 smash hit album Bastardos, would it have been as big? Would it have sold millions of copies at Walmart with a name like that?
That is a fascinating what if.
Or was this title specifically waiting for this moment? A moment where they were gritty, independent, and maybe feeling a little bit like the outlaws of the music industry.
I think the attitude of the title definitely matches the us against the world vibe of an independent release.
Something to think about next time you're scrolling through your music library. That's it for this deep dive into Blues Traveler's Bastardos. Thanks for listening.
Keep listening and keep questioning.
Catch you next time.